Hey party people, it's Lycona Dacheechee, and welcome to this walkthrough guide of the Memoria Misera Extreme. And I wanted to do a little bit more guides like this, which is more of a live format and a on the cusp. We're going to play back one of the clear videos that I did and go over some of the mechanics that happen along the way. So here we go. So as we start, he dashes to the middle. For our party, we stack up behind him, as you can see here. And what he'll cast first is, as soon as he casts it, there it is, it's Altius. And what that does is that it's an AoE on the party, but it also places down a X slash, which is the slash that he does. And it'll put down this blue X slash that will face the way that your character is facing. So when we're on the back, we all face north, so that way all of the X slashes will go north and travel north. We go off to his side right here because the next thing he'll cast is he'll do this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he'll turn around and do a slap. So and then you can see the AoE dashes going through, and that's pretty much the first major mechanic. The other thing to keep in mind with that is that it's also baited, so all of his mechanics are pretty much baited randomly on party members. So you just want to keep that in mind as you're going through and doing this fight. So the EzPz, which is a red X slash right there. So what this does is that once this thing goes off, it'll put an AoE around him that's about the size of this inner circle right here. So you want to be outside of that circle. And you can see I move here to the outside of the circle. Meanwhile, these two AoEs will always appear on the healers. So you want to split your party up into two teams of 4 people, for each healer. He'll do a jump, he'll do a slash, and then he'll come back to the middle. And then we all stack up behind him again. And now we have our first gun shield mechanic, which this is electrified gun shield, which is a knockback mechanic. And what you can see here over in the corner right here is that there's this charge on him. Once that charge hits 100%, that's when he fires off the gun shield mechanic, and in this case a knockback. But before that we have Altius, which is the same thing that we got from the beginning, which is an AoE, and we put down the blue the slashes, the AoE slashes. So then we move off to the side, and then he's going to put down an EzPz, which is a red one again. And so now we have those dashing through the middle, and we have to stand sort of away from him. But also, as soon as this thing goes off, you want to hit your anti-knockbacks, or you want to run towards him, because this is the gun shield mechanic, and that's when he knocks you back. So the next set of mechanics that are coming up is this is reinforced gun shield. And if you've done the Ravana fight from Heaven's Ward, it's the same principle of him putting up 2 shields on the left or right of him. Meanwhile, a tank buster will come out. The charge gets up to about 90%, and once the charge hits about 90%, that's when you want to stop DPSing, because you want to see if he puts the shields on either the front or back or his sides. And as you can see here, quite a few of us get hit back into the wall. And if you do get hit back into the wall, then you get pretty much stoned, like you see back over here. And it's real easy to break somebody out of that stone. All you got to do is just hit them once, and pretty much the stone just collapsed. But that's what you got to do. So ranged DPS can focus on that, just in case anyone gets hit back into that wall. Next up is loaded gun shield, which is a spread mechanic. Once his charge down here, right there, gets to 100%. So next we stack up behind him. We bait the Ventus Est, which this one's going to be a green slash, and this green slash means that the AoE will happen on the outside of the arena. So if you imagine like the red one we saw, the red AoE slash that we saw before, which is the inner circle, if you're and we have to stay outside. If you're on the inside circle here, then that means that you're going to be safe from that. And another thing to keep in mind is that these green and red slashes from the fight is that they're going to be based on where he is standing in the arena. So it's not always going to be in that circle, but the inner circle is a good judgment of how far out the AoE or the safe spot is. And pretty much I want to back it up here because I was sort of talking over the main mechanic of the loaded gun shield. But as you can see here, that's what it is. It's just a spread mechanic. Everybody spreads out. Loaded gun shield went off. And then we get back to the middle. He then casts this, which I can't pronounce it, but he does his little animation thing. And it was quite funny. There was one time I died before this animation and raised during it, and you can see my little character like running around the stage, and it never brought me into the cutscene, so that was quite a fun little AoE. There are two things right here, the blade pulses. These right here, the tanks should pick up one each and hit buttons and stuff. And pretty much he'll do a giant X slash, and it'll come down and it'll be all fancy and like colors and all of this stuff. Pretty much all you have to do is heal through this, DPS it down, and we'll fast forward it through here. Oh my, weird fast forwarding bits. So we're getting through here, you know, pop all your cooldowns. You want to do some pretty big mitigation here. The tanks will get hit each quite a bit, and I think if one or the other fail, then you fail that mechanic. But it's pretty easy to get through, just a standard DPS check. And as we get into the second phase, he'll go and cast his reinforced gun shield, which is the Ravana mechanic where he puts the two shields up on either the front or back or sides to sides. He'll do this Atlas, which is you all want to stack behind him, face him, and place those slash AoEs, drive him through the middle. And then he'll cast Ventus S, which is the inside mechanic, or the inside dodge, I should say. There are the rings. Again, you want to wait until about 90% of his charge bar before you start attacking. And we go into a tank buster next. So, for the tank busters, the two tanks will want to stack together. That's how it's handled. Forgot to mention that earlier. And then let's see what our next mechanic is. Yes, loaded gun shield. So loaded gun shield is going to be the spread mechanic once his charge reaches 100% over here. The next step during this, he's going to cast Ignis Est, which is going to be the red, so you know that it's going to be an AoE surrounding him. But this time you can see that on the left side, or the north side of the stage, there's going to be clones that will also put down their AoEs. So we spread out of the middle, and we basically use clock positions for this. And then both of our healers get the markers on them. And what you want to do is you want to have the healers spread out and go into the safe lane. As you can see there, I'm going to back it up here real quick. But you can see that there's a safe lane going from the middle, and you can tell that safe lane by up here taking a look at the where the X slashes are going to go through the middle of the stage. Now, one thing to note with those X slashes up there is that they're going to be coming out periodically throughout the rest of the fight, and so you can take one hit from them. They're not going to kill you, but just be mindful that you get a vuln stack, and don't take too many of those hits. But you know, you'll be all right if you just take one and like survive to the next one. And as you saw there, we had a tank buster, so he's going to be casting the electrified gun shield, which is the knockback mechanic. But this time he also calls for reinforcements, which ads will get placed on a turret, little turret ads. You've seen them before. So all you got to do is just DPS the turrets down. Look at north for the X slashes, and avoid all of the AoEs that come down. Two tethers will tether random people. The tanks should pick them up. Pretty straightforward, like tether mechanic. And then, you know, continue DPSing the turrets down, and then make sure you get into the safe lane. And in this case, it's over here on the left. And see, as you can see there, like you can take one of those like dashes. It's not going to kill you, but it will put a vuln stack on you. And then you run back into the boss, or use your anti-knockback if it's available to avoid that. And now this one right here, it's his 1, 2, 3, 4 slash, and then you run through him, and then he'll slash again, slash behind. So that's how you dodge that. Easy peasy every single time. And then I think he goes off to the north. And yeah, so he jumps to the north and he puts up a big old shield, a gun shield. And at this point, what you want to do is not only do you want to have clock positions, but you also want to... There's also two abilities that happen here. It's either Spark or Torch. And Spark is that we spread out, and as you can see, we sort of spread out here in this like little semicircle. So I'm on the edge, Amon's like right here, and in a moment, this is basically Protean wave right here. So you can see that all of these like skinny AOEs are coming from this gun shield, and that will target each party member. And so we spread out in this sort of semicircle in order to continue DPS uptime and avoid getting hit by everyone else's AOE. And the AOE is really skinny, so you can get right in there with in melee distance. So after that, that was Spark. This is Torch. Now this is a stack, so we come to the middle to stack. But another thing is that like later it could be switched. It could be a Torch stack and then spread out, or a spread stack, or a spread and then a stack like you saw here. DPS is gun shield down. The DPS check is really lenient, so no big deal. We come back to the middle, and then after we come back to the middle, you can choose to limit break here or save it, but if you're progressing, definitely save it. Loaded gun shield comes out next, which is our spread mechanic. You want to take a look at this charge right here. And now for this one, when we have the little spinnies on him, what we do to handle this mechanic is that he's going to cast out the Protean wave again, and then he's going to put down AOEs on him, not on him, on each party member. And once that happens, you'll see he'll do the Protean wave AOEs, and then we just run through him, and then we don't have to worry about like being on that side of the stage. And then he'll do his giant half stage cleave cone. And then we remember from before, it was loaded gun shield, which means we spread, and we sort of just YOLO this spread out. I'm sure there's going to be different strategies that like people will come up with, or pug strats that will be better than this. But we found that this was helpful to us because it gave us less time to react or adjust, you know. And then the healers get their things, so you gotta want to split up the party again. And we're sort of like goofing around at this point, like we're having a good time and we're messing around, and but we're not doing too bad, like getting through some of these fights. And then he'll jump to the middle. He'll do his tourney bit again. You'll see the guy, his clones up north do the X slashes. It'll be electrified gun shield, which means it'll be a knockback this time. And so now what we do is we get into like our little semicircle, and then once he casts that semicircle, we run through the middle. There we go, and now we're avoiding his half the stage cleave, so we avoid that. After he does his third one, we go to the safe side. We got to make sure that we run back in, and then we got to pop our anti-knockbacks or get into the middle because he does a knockback with the gun shield. And at this point, we sort of optimized our DPS. This one is going to be the hardest mechanic, combination of mechanics. And so what we do is we stay on the back. We're all facing north. Then our two healers will get the stack markers. So we get the stack markers, and we run over to the safe lane. And then after we run to the safe lane, he'll do a bait, which is the Ventus Est, which is the green X slash. And we cleared it, but give me a second here. But I'll go over to another video of ours that did it in a different run, which is this one right here. And please forgive us because this was like a completely like garbage run. It was so funny, like everyone was dead and oh man. But this is when we were progressing early, and we kind of did healer stack a little bit differently. But what we wanted to do is don't look at this for like where to do mechanics, but the last one is where I think it was a better executed, I'd say. So at this point, he should not be in the middle. He should be over here on the safe lane. So what you want to do with those healers is, from before, is both healers go and take their stacks, so, and the party splits and take the stack damage on both healers in the safe lane, and that way he'll jump to you in the safe lane. Then he'll cast the green. Then he'll cast the green slash. But then now he's going to do his 1, 2, 3, 4 slash. So he's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turn around and slash, and I died, and everybody was confused, and now everything goes off. But because we had him in the middle, everything got covered with an AoE, so it was like a real bummer. It was kind of funny. We were laughing so hard, but this recovery though is quite interesting. And there's the tank buster. We did, you know, a good solid limit break. He does his slash again, so we know that this is an AoE that's about the size of a circle, so we stand out. And then he does his 1, 2, 3, 4 again, and then slash, and then you want to dodge on the outside. And at this point, I don't know what happens next, because our DPS was good enough that we don't know. We've never seen his enrage. I have no idea if he even has an enrage. But it looks like he was casting loaded gun shield there, which meant it was another spread. But essentially, this fight is like 5 mechanics, and the combination of each of those mechanics is what makes each part of this pretty unique. So I wanted to do some more of these kinds of formatted guides where it's just live and non-scripted, because I just simply don't have the time anymore to do the EzPz style guide. Maybe for the savage fights, but for anything less, I just don't have the time anymore. But I still want to bring you the knowledge that me and my team have learned with these fights, so you guys can go out there and get your clear and learn the fights and get the rewards. And I think that any help or nugget of information out there will help everyone. So hopefully it's a happy medium that we can both reach, so I can have time to work on other personal projects that you might hear about in the future. So with that being said, if you think this guide has helped you out and your team, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy content. And until next time, I'm Lycona Dacheechee. Keep on adventuring.